Hey everyone, if you're like me, this question in the last several months may have entered your mind. When can I stream the Foundation series on Apple TV Plus? Turns out it's a loaded question. This big budget show, based on the legendary novels by Isaac Asimov, is highly anticipated, but a global crisis has delayed production on pretty much all media projects, and the whole industry has been trying to figure out how to make it work. The good news is, it looks like Foundation has found its way, and is even preparing for Season 2 already. This is a Spring 2021 production update on Apple TV's Foundation series. Let's get started. I'm Luigi, welcome to Foundation Era. If you didn't hear already, the most important thing is we've come the closest yet to getting a release date for this show. I say closest yet because we still don't have an exact date. I don't know if they're trying to play some kind of emotional game with us, but all we know so far is that Foundation will be released sometime this fall. But that's not going to stop me from making an educated guess on when exactly we'll be able to watch this series finally. Now, the fall TV schedule generally happens between September and December. That's a 4-month window, and most shows do fill the season out, which means the show has to get started in the first half of that window in order to avoid spilling over into the following year. Let's narrow it down even more. It's also been publicized that Season 1 of Foundation is going to be a 10-episode affair. So basically, we're looking at 10 weeks, or 2.5 months, of show. Now, let's look at a calendar. Apple is an American company, and their streaming customers are probably mostly residents of the US. For that reason alone, I would say that the first week or two of September is most likely out of the question. First of all, the first weekend of September is Labor Day weekend. Too many people will be having barbecues and vomiting on roller coasters that weekend to watch the show. I mean, come on. Aren't all of us going to try and enjoy summer a little bit more for the first half of September, especially in the Northeast? I'm wearing shorts and staying outside as much as possible because a lot of the rest of the year is basically cold, rainy darkness. So the last week or so of September is where I would pin the first episode debut most likely. If you add 10 weeks to that, you'll end up around December 1st. I don't think the schedule can slide much further back than that. Only 3 weeks after December 1st is what many in the US consider the holiday season. Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Santa Lucia Day, you name it, somebody's celebrating it. The chaos and travel and gift shopping that comes with the holidays makes it harder for a lot of people to settle down and catch a show. Thus, I think Foundation will hit Apple TV Plus no later than probably October 10th. That's the latest the show can debut without the final episodes happening in the last 2 weeks of December. Now, who knows? They may decide to do something cool and give us 2 episodes the first week. Maybe as a nice little thank you for having to wait so long. We have waited a long time. This production has been delayed, and that makes me wonder if the original plan was to release this show in the fall of last year. The first look at the show was at the Apple keynote in June 2020, but it was public knowledge that David Goyer was working on a script in 2017, and that Apple ordered the series to be made as early as 2019. And really, wouldn't it have been great to have this show streamed during the thick of the pandemic? Judging by that teaser trailer last summer, it almost looked ready to go. Shooting for the Foundation series began back in Ireland in mid to late 2019. The more than $50 million project is being helmed by Skydance Media, a company that's worked on numerous prominent sci-fi productions like World War Z and Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. I'll be honest, I haven't seen any of those movies. In fact, a quick look at the Skydance body of work revealed a lot of action-fueled sequels. I don't normally go out of my way to see things like the 4th or 5th Terminator movie. Sorry, I just don't. If anyone watching this has seen a movie done by Skydance Media, I want to know, was it good? Did you like it? How are the special effects? For $50 million, I hope Apple is getting their money's worth. And us too, since our subscription dollars are expected to bring a return on this investment. Anyway, as the Limerick Leader reported in late July of last year, Troy Studios in Castleroy, Ireland was where the production was located, and things apparently were progressing well. At the time, it was the biggest production ever to take place in Ireland, employing a reported more than 500 people. I love the sound of that, not just because I enjoy positive news about the Irish economy, I do, don't get me wrong, but because 500 people is in itself a ton of people to work on a project. I can't wait to see how they pull it off. But then the dark times came. On the 12th of March 2020, Ireland ended all film production as part of its response to the pandemic. In September, some production, careful, costly production with PCR tests and other precautions, was allowed to resume, and on October 6th, production on Foundation began again in Ireland. While Ireland enjoyed a few months of the industry cautiously coming back to life, they did have to shut down again in December. But by January, the Foundation project was moving on to Malta. For those who don't know, Malta is an island nation in the Mediterranean Sea, southwest of Italy and northwest of Tunisia. My layman's understanding of the Mediterranean climate tells me they probably have better weather in Malta than Ireland. Sorry, Ireland. According to executive producer David Goyer, the Foundation production had always planned to be in Malta at some point later in the shooting schedule. Originally, the show was supposed to shoot in London after Ireland, but if you remember, the UK was in rough shape pandemic-wise last quarter of 2020. But Malta makes its own rules. Skydance Media was able to secure special permission from the Maltese government, and by January, they were there, making it happen with precautions in place, of course. But why Malta? In a recent interview, David Goyer said Malta was always in the plan because there are, quote, copious amount of water tanks there. And he wasn't kidding, there are massive water tanks on Malta that have been used to film water scenes in movies since the 1960s. The shallow tank alone at this one facility is 300 feet by 400 feet and 6 feet deep. It takes 8 to 9 hours to fill it with water. This tank and others at facilities on Malta have an intentional overflow feature built onto the side like an infinity pool. If you place your eye or camera at the proper angles, the result is a controlled set that blends seamlessly with the Mediterranean Sea in the background. Movies filmed in this tank include Captain Phillips, Orca the Killer Whale, White Squall, and Cutthroat Island. Full transparency, I have never seen any of these movies. Now, when Foundation's executive producer David Goyer mentions these water tanks and that he has a water planet he needs to shoot, he gestures to an image from last year's teaser. In my last video, I talk about why I think that water planet is Gol Dornick's homeworld of Synax. This is intriguing because, as I've said, that planet is only mentioned in passing in the books. For this production to always have a plan to shoot Synax scenes in Malta would mean there is enough time spent on Synax to warrant such an undertaking. I mean, you don't move a production to Malta at all if you don't have to. And if you are going to use these very elaborate water tanks, you might as well make the most of it. So I'm getting the sense that we do get to spend some time on Synax, and I'm curious about what that will be like. In the Foundation novels, the story is strung together by a sequence of short stories that take place years apart. As a result, there isn't a ton of time spent on character development. A lot of the short stories simply visit a character in a moment of time and follow their decision-making and crisis management skills. This is different from a lot of the storytelling modern audiences are used to. If we're spending a generous amount of time on Synax, developing Gol's character, then we might be able to definitively say now that this will be a major format change from the books. I'm not going to call that a bad thing. One, I haven't seen it yet, and I don't like to go into things with a negative attitude. Second, these stories were crafted as short stories, not for long-form television. So we have to expect that there's going to be a need for this show to change things up to fill a coherent 10-episode season. Who knows? It might even be good. We can only hope. Anyway, filming in Malta wrapped in February. And then more filming was done in March in the Canary Islands, on the island of Fuerteventura. Local outlets report the production sought after volcanic settings. Reports indicate that production wrapped in Fuerteventura earlier in March. As of March 22nd, that's last week as of the making of this video, production has moved on to the island of Tenerife, which is also part of the Canary Islands. Are you guys noticing a pattern here? Foundation just decides to keep filming on beautiful islands. I mean, we don't even know if any of Asimov's worlds looked like any of the Canary Islands. I don't recall that in the source material. And like I said, we never even visit Synax in the books. This seems like an elaborate excuse to ride out a global calamity in a pretty awesome and isolated place. I'll keep the strategy in mind for the next pandemic. Touché, Mr. Goyer. Now, quickly, the last bit of info I have here. Skydance and Apple TV are already preparing for Season 2 of Foundation. Pre-production is currently underway, and production is due to begin soon, though no official word yet on when. A local news outlet in the Canary Islands called Crónicas Fuerteventura reports the team will return to that island and work on season 2. I'm going to go out on a limb here and speculate that the Canary Islands, or at least Fuerteventura, bears the likeness of a planet that is relevant in multiple seasons of this show. How many planets span multiple stories and books in the written series? Not that many. It's like Trantor, Terminus, and that's about it. Anacreon, Colgan, those planets come and go. So if you ever wondered what Terminus looks like, well, it just may be this. This video was just a short update since I've seen a lot of people asking, when the heck is this show coming out? Or is it all an elaborate ruse to toy with Asimov nerds? I hope you enjoyed this video, and I've answered at least some of these questions the best I can for now. It's also important to note that I'm not working on this production, so I only know what's being reported by credible outlets. If you know a guy who sells Foundation production secrets behind a dumpster for 50 bucks a pop, that's great. But I don't charge 50 bucks. All I ask is that you subscribe to this channel or even smash the like button. Also, put me in touch with that dumpster guy. And to wrap this up, I want to say thanks to the news outlets that provided original reporting to the topics covered here. Deadline.com, TheIndependent.ie, Love and Malta, The Limerick Leader, Gotta Love Local Newspapers, The Vulcan Reporter, The Hollywood Reporter, and Crónicas Fuerteventura. Shout out to you. Until next time, stay safe, healthy, and thanks for watching.